Hey guys, welcome back. I am currently on a new adventure. It's a little bit different than what we normally do, but cars are still involved. I promise there's cars over there. So currently we are at SEMA/PRI on the hill for the 2024 Washington Rally. Basically, we had the chance to come up along with a lot of other great people, and we actually get the chance to speak to our Congress members about legislation that's affecting what we're doing in our industry. I know it might sound a little bit boring when this initially is coming, like what I'm telling you right now, but I promise it's going to be interesting. We got cars over here we're going to check out, and then I have a couple things I want to tell you guys about, and basically, come with me to Washington, D.C. You're going to learn a whole lot today. I'm going to learn a whole lot today, and we're going to actually try to help make a change with what's happening in our industry. All right, let's go. Alright, so first up on the schedule today, we're at Cars at the Capitol. This is kind of interesting because they have 9 to 10 different builds that have parts or have modifications that are affected directly by legislation that is currently an issue. And so this is here, and they have build sheets on them, which they provided so that way Congresspeople and lawmakers can come over and look at the builds and see like, okay, this is how this directly impacts this and all that. So it's kind of cool. Instead of just having, you know, you hear about it, to get to see it in person. It's got a wide range of builds. We actually talked about potentially having the 55 here, which would have been super cool. That didn't work out because we have a race next week, but would have been really neat to have it here. But it's right here at the Capitol, so do a quick walk by of those, and then we're getting ready for meetings. Kind of nervous, not gonna lie. Like kind of nervous, kind of excited. Alright, so I don't want to make this boring, bear with me. When I first heard about these different acts, I was actually talking with Summit Racing, and they're very passionate about this. They're big advocates for this. They have representatives here, and they'd asked me originally to speak on it, and when I read through it, I was like, I don't know enough about this to speak on it. So I want to help relay to you, short but sweet. We're going to go over 4 acts. We're going to start with number 1 right here, and we'll move somewhere else for the other, the Repair Act. So this is a really important act. It's more on the OEM side, but we know OEM affects our aftermarket as well. And the Repair Act is basically, in short, it's making it where automakers have to provide the data, resources, and tools for those outside of that to be able to work on and repair their car, whether it be individuals or shops or things like that, but they have to make it where that information is accessible to those people as well. With that, they're trying to currently tack on the right to modify. So not only, you know, just replacement parts and stuff, which would be the right to repair, but the right to modify would be, say, you want to lift or lower your truck, you need to be able to recalibrate. You need to be able to know how that is going to affect what you're doing to your vehicle. So the right to modify is in addition to the Repair Act, and the right to modify is basically what we all love to do, which is modify our vehicles, and we need to know how that's going to change it and then be able to make our vehicles compatible with that. So these are really important acts. They actually have a lot of traction right now, and they're moving forward, and the modify is something that's been tacked onto it. So that's number 1, and it's making really good progress right now. So we'll go on to number 2. Lisa. He's flapping his little wings. Oh my gosh.
It's popular, to say the least, in Arkansas. But we've got Alex Taylor here with us, one of your constituents, and wanted to come in and spend a little time with you guys and kind of thank you for what you're doing on Explore Act. It's really exciting. But Alex, I want to kick it over to you.
Okay, so I'm actually a fellow Arkansan, Boonville, so it's a smaller area there. But as you mentioned, it's not necessarily, you don't necessarily think of automotive first thing, but that's, my family's had a business, automotive business, based out of Boonville for the last 30 years. Over the past few years, I've had the chance to purchase my own shop and start to grow and expand with that. And then we've been bringing in others from out of state, also out of country, into small town Boonville. So kind of trying to grow that automotive hub there. But I've had the chance to work on a couple different areas of our industry. I come from more of a high performance background industry with drag racing. But over the past few years,
All right, guys, so it's been an interesting morning already. I've already met with 2 of our Arkansas representatives. Well, actually, we met with 1, and then we met with his staffers because he was actually out. So anyway, it's been really good. It's been really interesting. But one more, so coming up on number 2 of some of the legislation that I want to tell you about, I have notes because this kind of gets a little jumbled, just to be honest. So EVs, something that we all have strong feelings about. Probably one way or the other. You guys know where I'm at. But this is dealing with California and the federal level. So for California, SEMA is working to push the Preserving Choice in Vehicle Purchases Act, which basically California is trying to, with the CARB, trying to instate law that by 2035, there has to be 100% of new vehicle sales has to be zero emissions vehicles, which means by 2026, 35% have to meet that. To get to that 35% mark, I think the numbers are like, it would have to be, there's only EVs plus like 5 plug-in hybrids that work and meet the emission standards that they're looking at trying to reach. So the Preserving Choice in Vehicle Purchases Act, that is basically trying to fight where CARB doesn't receive a waiver from the EPA to enforce these laws. And essentially the title Preserving Choice in Vehicle Purchase Act is because it's to meet the standards that they're trying to reach. EV is the only way to get there. So what fighting back and going in and talking to Congress is saying, hey, like, sure, if you want to purchase EV, cool, great, grand. However, don't enforce it. The standards that are being written, or the what they're trying to enforce, would make it where you can only purchase EV. And we're saying, hey, that they're working on internal combustion engines and making that more efficient, and hydrogen and all these other sources. So that's one that they're pushing back. And then which also goes with that is the CARS Act, which is the Choice in Automobile Retail Sales Act. And so that's basically the same thing, but more on a federal level. So those kind of play hand in hand, because when CARB, so the California side of this, enforces something, 17 states tend to pick up their legislation also and enforce that, which represents like 40% of the population. But the difference in CARS is that it's to prevent the EPA from finalizing the tailpipe emission standards. So it's like they've got it pushed right now to like 85 grams per mile or something like that, which again just pushes the EVs. So basically it's just like, hey, don't put all your eggs in this basket. So that's a couple that SEMA is actively working to fight, and that's something that I think will hit near and dear to you guys. And I'll put a link below where you guys can learn a little bit more about that. But let's go to another meeting, and then let's go talk about 2 more laws before we wrap this all up. All right, up next, number 3. We're just taking a tour, by the way. I was like, I don't want to do this all in the same spot. Let's just see our different backdrops here. Megan, fun fact, is a history nerd, and she was here a week and a half ago. And so we're walking around. She's like, that's a ionic column, and that's a Doric column, and that's yeah. So Corinthian?
Yes.
We're learning. I've been to DC, but she's fresh on the mind. So anyways, we're getting all the details. So I'm going to share a couple of those with you guys. Anyways, back to what we're talking about. So this one's a little bit different because it's not legislation directly affecting like our automotive stuff in that side of stuff, but it is affecting us as racers. So this is the Motorsports Fairness and Permanency Act, which, to make it short, simple, and sweet, this is basically to encourage tracks and race facilities and locations to invest into those locations and to continue to improve those locations. So for us as racers, that allows us to have some place to take our hobby to and what we love to do. And then on the motorsports manufacturing side, or just the manufacturing side in general, it allows those companies to be able to sell parts to those people so that way they can go to the track. So tracks, as you know, are a very important part of what we do, but to help incentivize that, the Motorsports Fairness and Permanency Act basically allows accelerated depreciation of those investments. So before, I think it was like a 25 to 30 year period where you had to depreciate that over. Extra bookkeeping, bigger, your investment takes longer to see. So this makes it where it's a 7-year period of depreciation, and it's all kinds of infrastructure and things like that, which make our facilities better that we get to go to. So all this is doing, it's not expired yet. This tax incentive expires December of 2025, but SEMA's trying to get ahead of it so that way it's not like, hey, it's expired and we're already at that point. So they're trying to get ahead and get that where that's a permanent tax incentive instated, and that directly impacts our motorsports side. So for me, that's exciting. Anyways, on to the next. I'm gonna go learn some more fun facts and then do a meeting and then talk to you guys again. We're almost done, bear with me. All right, so wrapping up our day on the hill with Al Noe, who is the Chief Marketing Officer for Summit Racing. Thank you.
Absolutely, Alex. Glad to join you.
So Al is a really big champion for everything that's going on here. I wanted somebody who is much more knowledgeable than me to kind of, give a high-level overview and also how you guys can get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. The Day on the Hill for SEMA is a super important event. If you're a SEMA member, you got to come out here. If you don't let your elected officials know what's on your mind and the things that are important to you, they're not going to listen. Mm-hmm. They will listen to you, though, if you show up and if you let them know what topics are the most important things. Also, whether you're a SEMA member or not, if you're just an individual, talk to your politicians. Let them know if something's bothering you. On Summit's website, you can go find legislative alerts. You can also go to SEMA.org, and that'll give you all the things that you need to know. So many important topics.
I'll link below the link to this. Hang on.
Pause, please. Wow.
That looks important, okay?
It's on my ride to the airport. So there's also a lot of police officers in Washington, D.C.
It's a lot
keeping
going on.
everyone safe.
It's like a car show, guys.
And they like motorcycles too, so we love them.
And cars.
Yes.
It's great.
That got a Hemi in it?
Wow, that was fun. Hey, that was a great grand exit. But at the end of this, or at the bottom below in the comments, I'll put a link to the Summit site where you can find all of that information. Summit is really great in the sense that people like Al himself are here fighting for what we all love to do. He's passionate himself about it on a personal level, so
Absolutely.
Great to have good companies to work with, great to have people here speaking on our behalf, and you guys can join us on speaking on that behalf as well. So.
Let your politicians know what's on your mind. If you don't let them know, if you don't vote, then you're part of the problem. Be part of the solution.
I like that. And with that said, as always, be happy, go fast, and stay pretty. I hope you guys learned something today. I will see you next time.